Right, today I'm going to do a revision on Municipal Admin N6 exam revision, right? So I'm going straight to question 1, right? 1.1, give a term for each of the following. Description by writing it next to the question number, right? 1.1 to 1.115 in the answer box, right? So 1.11, the administrative, executive, and accounting officer of a city or a town. That's what we call the municipal manager. The municipal manager. Right. So let's go to question number 1.12. It acts as a guideline of what is expected of employees from an ethical point of view for individual conduct and relationship with others. That's what we call a code of conduct. A code of conduct. A code of conduct. Right. Let's go to 1.13. It provides the employees with a process for resolving a complaint they are unable to resolve through regular communication with the manager. We call it a grievance procedure. A grievance procedure. Grievance procedure. Whereby when an employee has a complaint that he cannot be able to resolve with the manager, he lodges what you call a grievance. So the process is what you call a grievance procedure. At 1.14, it defines the duties and requirements of an employee's job in detail. That's what you call a job description, whereby it states the duties and the requirements. Job description. A job description. Right. So let's move on to question 1.15. An official tasked with the public relations of an institution. That's what we call a public relations officer. Public relations officer. An official tasked with the what? The public relations of an institution. Right. Let's go to question 1.2. 1.2. Choose one term from the list below for each of the following description and write it next to the question number 1.1 to 1.11, 1.25, right, next to question number. Right, so 1.21, the parliament of a province, that's what you call the provincial legislature. The provincial legislator, the parliament of a province is what you call the provincial legislature. All right, let's go to 1.22. It provides the framework for the resolution of labor disputes through mediation and arbitration to ensure their conditions and treatment in the workplace. We call it Labor Relations Act. Labor Relations Act. Labor Relations Act. That's what we call a Labor Relations Act. Right. 1.23. This part of the budget shows how much money is spent on running the administration and delivering day-to-day services. That's what we call operational budget. Operational budget. Day-to-day expenses. Operational budget. Right. So let's go to 1.24. Any legislation that is formulated and approved by Parliament, we call it an act. An act, it becomes an act. All right, let's go to 1.25. The supreme law of the country, that's what you call the Constitution. The Constitution. The Constitution. That's the supreme law of the country, the Constitution. The Constitution. Right. Let's move on to question 2. To question 2. Indicate whether the following statements are true or false. Right, by writing true or false next to the question number. Right, 2.1. A worker who continuously misbehaves must be sent for a rehabilitation. A worker who continuously misbehaves must be sent for rehabilitation. That's true. That's true. It's supposed to be sent. 2.2. Induction is when a new employee is introduced to an organization. It's also true. Induction is a process of welcoming and receiving a new employee within the organization. 2.3, people who provide essential services may strike. That's false. They cannot strike. They are not allowed to strike. Those people who provide essential services are not supposed to strike. 2.4, an employee who wishes to raise a grievance may first raise it vertically with the director of the Human Resource Department. That's true. That's true. Supposed to first raise it with the Human Resource Director. Right. It's a true statement. Right. Let's go to 2.5. The Code of Conduct explains the condition of service. That's false. Code of Conduct does not spell out the condition of service. It sets out the standard or the expected standard of behavior. Right, let's go to question 2.6. All managers have an informational role to some degree. All managers have an informational role to some degree. That's true. That's true. Let's go to 2.7. The municipal manager is CEO, chief executive officer of the municipality, has no responsibility towards the council. That's false. He has the responsibility towards the council. He has responsibility towards the council. Right, let's go to 2.8. For the local authority, internal control is a process that is done by the provincial manager. That's false. That's false. And let's go to question 2.9. The CFO, Chief Financial Officer, is in control of the municipality's budget. That's true. That's true. And then 2.10, managers also perform the role of negotiator. That's true. They also play the role of what? Of a negotiator. So let's move on to question 3. Question 3. Question 3. Right, choose the term in column B that matches the description in column A. Right, 2.1. One person gives another person authority to act on his or her behalf. That's what you call delegating authority. Meaning to say you have delegated him to exercise authority on behalf of you. Right. So let's go to 3.2. Strict procedures are prescribed for the opening of tenders. Strict procedures are prescribed for the opening of tenders. That's control over contracts, which is J. Control over contracts. Right. Let's go to 3.3. Control of purchases and control when stock is issued. That's what you call a stock control method, a stock control, right? So 3.4, it is done by the chief financial officer at any time to ensure account is given of all expenditures. What is done to ensure that account is given it of all expenditure. That's what we call internal auditing, which is I. Internal auditing, which is I. Right. So let's go to 3.5. It deals with management and administration of the barriers of municipalities. Deals with management and administration of the barriers of municipalities. That's G, Municipal Structures Act. Municipal Structures Act. Right. Let's go to 3.6. 3.6. Compensation for injury, death, or duty. That's what we call Compensation for Occupational Injury and Disease Act, which is C. Right. So let's move on to question 3.7. Citizen or a resident. Right. Citizen or a resident, they are what we call inhabitant. They are inhabitant. Right. 3.8 measures the ability to master a specific task. Measures the ability to master a specific task. That's what you call aptitude test. Aptitude test, which is D. Aptitude test. Right. Let's go to 3.9. Laws that are made by the local government. Laws that are made by the local government, we call them bylaws. Bylaws, K. 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 Right. 3.4 measures if the 3.10 measures if the applicant can do a job. That's what we call performance test, which is F. Right, let's go to question 4, which is section B. Section B. Right. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to read the article. I'm going straight to the question. Right, 4.1. Question 4.1. 4.1. Right. Define budget. Right. A budget is a financial plan for the year in which funds are allocated for a specific purpose. So a budget is just a financial plan for the year in which funds are allocated for specific purpose. A budget is a financial for the year in which funds are allocated for a specific purpose. That's what we call a budget, a financial plan for the year in which funds are allocated for a specific purpose. Right, let's go to 4.2. 4.2. 4.2. Right. Give 5 reasons why proper financial Why proper financial management is important for municipality. I was going to give 5 reasons. But so the reasons includes when the budget is properly when financial management is important. Why financial management is important for a municipality is one, irregular and wastage expenditures is prevented. Irregular and wasteful expenditures is prevented. And revenue is measured and collected more effectively. Revenue, which is income, is measured and collected more efficiently. Three, there is less fraud. There is less fraud and mismanagement of public funds and mismanagement of public funds. 4, there is financial control. Financial control becomes more credible. Financial controls becomes more credible. And more credible. And lastly, there is better service delivery. Better service delivery. Right. So let's move on to question 4.3. 4.3, state 4 advantages of employing a qualified internal auditor in the municipality. Advantages of employing a qualified auditor. 4.3. Right. So advantages being that the auditor will assist the chief financial officer with accounting of incomes and expenditures. You will assist the chief executive officer with accounting of all income and expenditures. Two, the qualified internal auditor will assist in special investigations in cases of maybe suspected irregularities. Assist in special, or assist in special investigations. In cases of suspected irregularities. And then you act as a liaison office. You act as a liaison office. Right. Between the CEOs, the chief financial officer, and the HODs. Right. So let's move on to question 4.4. State 5 roles of the municipal manager in appointing and managing personnel. There's no provision. Roles of what? Municipal manager in appointing and managing personnel. 4.4. 4.4. Right. In managing human resource or personnel. Right. So these roles includes one, he decides on the remuneration, decides on the remuneration. Two, it also ensures that functionaries use delegated authority to carry out their duties. Use delegated um they use delegated authority to carry out their duties. It also ensures that there's no provision is handled according to the correct procedure. Right. It also ensures that um, it also ensures that line functionaries reward employees for good performance and discipline. They reward employees for good performance and discipline. And discipline employees for misbehaving. For misbehaving. Lastly, it makes the final decisions. Makes the final decision in appointing a candidate. So that's the duty or the role of what? The municipal, right? The role of the municipal, in appointing and managing personnel. So let's go to question 4.5. State 10 services that are chargeable by the municipality. We're going to list 10 services that are chargeable by the municipality. 4.5, 10 services chargeable by the municipality. Right. So these services includes use of sport field. Use of sport field, you need to pay to the municipality. There is ambulance fee. They also charge entrance for public swimming pools. They also charge for parking fees. They also charge for sewer. They also charge for dog license. They also charge for refusal, removal of refuse. They also charge for fruit and veggie markets. As well as rent for municipal buildings. Rent for municipal buildings. Let's move on to 4.6. State 5 ways in which a municipal manager can ensure a well-motivated personnel force at his workplace. Method to ensure a well-motivated workforce. 4.6. a well-motivated workforce. Right. So the minister or manager has to use one, he can keep himself up to date, keeping up to date with the latest personal matters. Personnel matters by attending conferences and seminars. You can also introduce and maintain performance appraisal system. Performance appraisal system. You can also introducing ways of developing staff, introducing ways of developing staffs by allowing them to attend conferences. You can allow them to attend conferences in a way of to develop them. Right. He's supposed also to introduce training programs. Supposed to introduce training programs. Supposed to introduce training programs. Right. And also implementing knowledge and skills. Implementing knowledge and skills obtained from seminars and conferences. Supposed to implement. Right. So let's go to question 5. Right. State four rules of the municipal manager to ensure that the correct method and procedures are followed in a municipality. 4 rules. State 4 rules of the municipal manager to ensure that the correct methods and procedures are followed in a municipality. Right. So we're going to state roles. Question 5. The roles of the municipal manager to ensure that everything is done correctly. Right. 1, he has to do surveys, regular surveys. Supposed to do regular surveys. 2 is supposed to motivate HODs. Is supposed to do evaluation proposals. For better work performance or better work methods. They can also attend seminars and conferences. Let's go to 5.2. 5.2, right? Tabulate the difference between voters' control and council's control. We're going to tabulate the difference. We're going to make a table and we differentiate. 5.2. 5.2. Right. Right. This is tabulating. This is a tabulating. By the way, when they say tabulate, it means that you're supposed to draw a table and do the comparison. Right. So between voters control and councils control. So we're going to give a difference. So on voters control, there is demand for feedback and accountability. There's demand for feedback and accountability. Whereas council control, there's also a demand for feedback as well. And accountability. So here, there is ratification of council's decisions. Ratification of council decision. Whereas here, there's ratification of executive proposals and decisions. Of executive proposals. And decisions. Right. And then on voters' control, there is issue of what decision statements. They issue decision statements. Whilst on council's control, they usually they issue enforceable. They issue enforceable policies And there's monitoring of service and council decisions on voters. Of services and council decision. Right. Whereas here on council's control, there is inspections by the council. Inspections by the council. So that's the difference between voters' control and council's control. Right, let's go to question 5.3. Explain the term collective agreement. Collective agreement. We're going to explain what is collective agreement. So collective agreement is basically a written contract between the employer and a union that outlines many of the terms and conditions of employment for the employees in a bargaining council. So let's go to collective agreement. Question 5.3. 5.3. Right. So it is a written contract. It's a written contract. It is a written contract between the it is a written contract between the employer and the union. We're talking about trade union, right? That outlines many of the terms and conditions of employment for employees in a bargaining unit. Right. So let's go to question 5.5. 5.5. Right. State, 5.4. Give 2 reasons why the municipal council need to take a provision for a new employee to undergo in-service training. Right. Reasons why the new employee will have to undergo in-service training. 5.4. 5.4. 5.4. Right. To ensure that the employee has the necessary skills and knowledge to do his job. Skills and knowledge. and knowledge to do his job, right? And also to eliminate mistakes, as the employee will know the work. Right. And also to teach the new employee the correct methods and procedures for the job. And the employee has to go through in-service training. The correct methods and procedures. To teach him the correct methods and procedures of the job. He has to go through in-service training. In-service training, right. Let's go to 5.5. 5.5. 5.5. State 5 factors that could be kept in mind when the public relations officer communicate with the media. State 5 factors that could be kept in mind when the public relations officer communicates with the media, right? 5.5, right? So when the public relations communicate with the media, it's supposed to take into consideration that some media have some have a political agenda. Two, some newspapers are profit-oriented. Three, supposed also to take into consideration that situations that will create tension between councillors and officials in the media should be avoided. Supposed to avoid situations which creates tensions. Right. It's supposed also to make sure that the media should report responsibly and misleading or lying to the media when discovered could backfire, right? Supposed to know that lying could backfire, right? And can lead to loss of office. It's supposed to be open. It's supposed to be, it should be open. Should be open. Circumstances permits permit to prevent the media from reporting subjectively. From reporting subjectively. Right. So let's go to question 5.6. Name 6 techniques for exercising departmental control at a municipality. Techniques for exercising departmental control. Techniques for exercising departmental control. We're supposed to write 6 of them. At a municipality. Right. So there are tactics like 1, prescribe the standards. 2, auditing. 3, retail procedures. 'Procedures and work manuals. We also have checking system as a procedure. Inspection investigation. And lastly, record keeping. You can use this method to exercise control at a municipality. So let's go to 4.5.7. Name 2 possible types of interventions by a provincial authority over municipal finances. Right. This includes what you call mandatory intervention and discretionary procedure. Right. These are the procedures. Discretionary procedure. Right. So let's go to the next question. Good. Question 6. 6.1. State 4 ways in which each of the following Act of Parliament influences the personal administration in municipalities. Right. So the question is, how does the Labor Relations Act number 66 of 1995 is amended in 2002 how does it influence the personal administration in municipalities, right? So 6.1, Labor Relations Act regulates the organizational rights of trade union, regulates the organizational rights of the trade union. True, it regulates the rights to strike. It regulates the right to strike. Three, it promotes and facilitates collective bargaining. Four, it also promotes employees' participations. Right. And lastly, it provides for the registration of trade union in employers' organization. Registration of trade unions and employer organizations. Right. Let's go to how does it influence the local government? How does local governance Municipal System Act number 32 of 2000 influence the personal administration in municipalities? 6.2, 6.1 and 2. Right. So it dealt with recruitment. It dealt with recruitment. It dealt with recruitment, selection, and appointment of staff. It also deals with service conditions, of staff. It also deals with the grievance and disciplinary procedures. It also deals with employment contracts, as well as service conditions. Deals also with service conditions of all employees. Right. Let's move on to question 6.2. State 5 advantages of fragmented or a separate personnel system. Advantages of fragmented or a separate personnel system. 6.2. What are the advantages? So you can find that municipalities can rely on loyalty of its employees. And also, municipalities can enforce performance standards. Enforce performance and enforce performance standards. And also, municipalities can recruit talented employees. It can recruit talented employees. Right. And also, the employees for top posts are recruited from other urban areas. Right. As well as in municipalities and small towns only compete with the local businesses for staff. Right, let's go to 6.3. Give 4 reasons why an employee's service can be terminated. Right. So a service of the employee can be terminated when sometimes due to retirement age. When he reaches the retirement age, it can be due to when he becomes medically unfit. When he becomes medically unfit, and also when he voluntarily resigns. When he voluntarily resigns, he has to go in, maybe got something, he's got a greener pasture somewhere, or when he is dismissed due to misconduct. Right. Let's go to 4.3. So 4.4. State 6 processes and procedures of public participation in municipal affairs. State 6 processes and procedures of public participation in municipal affairs. 6.4. Processes and procedures for municipal phase one, we have mechanisms and processes as established in the terms of the Act. In terms of Act, we have what we call political structures. We have political structures such as we have such as legislatures, wards, committees, and sub-councils. Ward committees. We also have budgeting for community participation. Budgeting for community participation. Another procedure is mechanism and processes put in place by the municipality. In place by municipality. By the municipality, as well as encouraging the community to participate in the affairs of the municipality. Participate in the affairs of the municipality. Right. So let's go to 6.5. 6.5. Name two types of recruitment used in municipalities. They have what we call internal recruitment, internal recruitment whereby they are recruiting from within, and external, whereby they are sourcing labor outside the organization, which is what we call external recruitment, whereby they are sourcing labor from the pool of sourcing personnel from the pool of labor. Right, let's move on to question 7. State 4 core components of Integrated Development Plan, IDP, identified in ministerial regulations. Right. So we're going to state 4 core components of Integrated Development Plan. Components. an integrated development plan. question 7. 7.1. Right. So we're talking about core integrated, right? So which includes key performance target, key performance targets and indicators. The core components also includes the council's financial plan. We also have institutional framework, institutional framework. We also have the council's disaster management plan. And council's long-term vision for development in the area. Council's long-term vision for development in the area. And lastly, the council's operational strategies. Council's operational strategies. Right. Let's go to 7.2. State 5 roles of the municipal manager in fulfilling his or her policy-making duty in the municipality. 5 roles of the municipal manager in fulfilling his or her policy-making duty. Roles in fulfilling policy-making duties. This includes attend council and committee meetings, supposed to attend council and committee meetings, supposed also to consult with the mayor, the mayor, consult with the mayor, the chairperson, and other councillors. And other councillors. and it's to discuss policy proposals. Right. It's supposed also to meet with interest groups and ward committees. And ward committees. To ascertain problems in services. And services. And another role is he has to consult with the national and provincial government. Supposed to consult with the national and provincial government on policies affecting municipalities. And also, we're supposed to consult and meet with the HODs. Consult and meet with the HODs. Head of departments. Supposed to meet with the HODs. So let's move on to question 4.3. 4.3. 4.3. Officials of the municipality are in contact with the public when they are rendering services to the public. Officials of the municipalities are in contact with the public when they are rendering services to the public. Right? So state 6 points that should be included in the code of conduct about the relationship between the officials and the municipality. Right. So I'm going to say write points that should be included in the code of conduct when he is working with the community, when an official is working with the community, right? So 7.3, right? So you're supposed to act in a manner that will promote the trust of the community. That promotes the trust of the community. Supposed to be accountable and open to the public regarding their duties. And open to the public regarding their duties. It's supposed to be committed, supposed to be committed to the development and upliftment of the community. Of the community. It is supposed to be polite and helpful when dealing with the public. It's supposed to be unbiased. Supposed to be unbiased in rendering services to the community. Supposed not to discriminate unfairly against any member of the community. Right. And also is supposed to recognize every citizen's right to have access to all services. It's supposed to also recognize the right of every citizen to equality before the law. Let's go to 7.4. State the functions of the CFO, which is the Chief Financial Officer, in executing his or her duties as 1. 7.41 as a financial advisor. Functions of the Chief Financial Officer in executing the duty of a financial advisor. Right. 7.41. Right. Functions of the CFO. Right. Is supposed to attend council meetings. Supposed to attend all council meetings. And community meetings. And committee meetings. And council meetings. It's supposed to make sure that is part of the municipal manager's management plan. Supposed to be part of municipal manager management plan, management team. Supposed to be part of the management team. We're supposed also to advise on the financial policy. Investments. Supposed also to advise on investments and procedures for capital projects. Is supposed to compile the final concept budget. The final concept budget and lastly, it's supposed to determine the ability of the community to pay the services for the services. To determine the ability for the community pay for the fees for the service. The services. Right, so let's go to 7.42. The function of the CEO in coordination of financial operations. Function of the CEO in coordinating financial operations. Mm. 7.12 is function in coordinating the financial, right? We're supposed to have coordinate all activities, supposed to coordinate all activities of departments in the municipality to is supposed to draw up the draft budget supposed to draw up the draft budget in consultation with senior managers and also coordinate with the finances of executive duties through the budget. Supposed to coordinate the finances, supposed to coordinate the finances, supposed to coordinate the finances of executive duties through the budget. Duties through the budget. Right. And lastly, supposed to coordinate council activities when approved budgets, programs are executed. Coordinate council activities when approved budget programs are executed. Right. So thank you so much for watching. Please make sure that you go into the exam knowing all these questions and knowing all the answers on how to answer the questions, please. And also please share this content to your friends and family. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good day.